Hello and welcome to busyworksbeats.com. Today we continue our music theory series right here at busyworksbeats.com/premium. Today I'm going to show you how to make your chords more unique and advanced with this simple technique. So I'll show you guys some sauce. Firstly, if you guys use minor chords, which most hip hop, folks do, if you don't know how to make a minor chord, you can start anywhere on the keyboard. Okay, there's a chord code called the minor chord code. You can find it at busyworksbeats.com/music theory. We give you a chord code chart. Basically, you can add any root note. Okay, in this case, we're going to write E, and then we count up 3 notes, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. So 0, 3, 7 always makes the minor chord no matter where you are on the keyboard. It doesn't even matter if you know the notes names or not. So that's how you do it. So again, wherever your root note is, your bottom note, count up. It's 0, 3, 7. So you count up your keyboard to finish out the chord code. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That always makes a minor chord. Okay, so that's where we got the minor chord from. Sounds like this. Now what we want to do here is revoice this chord. Some simple techniques is we're going to take the root note and we're going to add it again an octave higher. Now we're also going to take what's called the minor third, highlight that, hit control, and then hit control up in FL Studio to raise it up an octave. Okay, now what we'll do is take this even further, which is to duplicate the root note down 2 more octaves. So let's grab it, hit shift, and this will add more density to your chord to where it sounds more aggressive. Listen. We can even drop this down an octave. So I'm using my Hypnos plugin at busyworksbeats.com/hypnos if you guys are wondering about the sound. So if I take out those bottom notes, here's before, and then here's with the note density. It just adds that weight to the chords. Most people forget to add that bottom layer, and that's why their chords don't have weight. Nextly, we could hit Alt S to strum out the notes. So that's more of like a melodic performance. So it feels a little more realistic. That's only one way to do it. There's no right or wrong way. Okay, so that is the first technique, is to simply revoice the chord. I used to think, what's the chord type I need to know? What's the scale degree? But I didn't understand that, neo soul, R&B, jazz, all that type of cool stuff. It's really about the voicing of a chord, not necessarily the chord type, but how do you play the notes? Like, in which order do you play the notes? And that makes a huge difference in R&B and jazz. Okay, so the next thing here, we're going to do a D minor. Let's do DFA. So again, a minor chord. But this time we want to spice it up. So now we're going to move into what are called chord extensions. You guys can get a free chord code chart at busyworksbeats.com/music theory. But in short, there's a minor 7th chord. It's called, which is 0, 3, 7, 10. Okay, so 0 is the root note. Count up your keyboard note by note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That creates the minor chord. But 0, 3, 7, 10 creates the minor 7th chord. So 0 is where you start. We're not talking about scale degrees. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now again, this is, the bland way to voice this chord. Okay, it's very basic. What we'll do is copy some of those techniques by copying this root note down an octave. Let's do 2 of those. And then we'll do what's called raising the third, or taking this minor third, hit control up. And now I'll kind of quickly show you guys the chord progression. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll kind of switch between minor and major. Let me, just to show you guys what this could sound like that. And then let's do E minor. Now I already played this 1,000 times, so I already know what it's gonna sound like. But I want to show you guys the technique. So let's say you have a minor chord at the end, a minor 7th chord specifically. We can copy the chord over, and then what we could do is take the 5th and the tonic root notes and then hit shift down. We're just going to pull those down 1 note. Only if this is a minor 7th chord. Okay, now if it's a major 7th, we're going to do something different, which is to raise the tonic in the 5th. So let's end on a different chord here. Let's make this, I'm trying to think what chord would even sound cool. Let's just do C to make it simple. I'm going to take this chord, copy it over. So let's say we need something else to happen, but we want the chord to feel the same or similar, I should say. Now we're going to raise the root note in the 5th up 1. Now again, this chord progression wouldn't normally be played this way. I wouldn't go from F to C, but I'm just trying to quickly show you guys some things. Let's add, now this is an advanced technique, but let's say, for example, you have this issue where you need to resolve, which is what I'm, needing to do here. We're going to add what's called a dominant 9th chord here. And my favorite thing to do is raise the 5th and 9th, sharp the 5th and 9th, and that just creates a really unique R&B sound. Okay, so again, that sharp 5th, sharp tonic. And most people leave the dominant chord kind of, I'm getting really advanced here, I need to pull back. But what we can do on a normal dominant chord, I'll just give you guys a tip. In the middle, what creates the tension is a diminished chord. So what you guys can do is simply revoice the chord by taking the, the bottom note of the diminished and just pulling it down an octave. So that's more advanced. And again, I don't have a perfect chord progression for this context. Okay, so just look at this diminished chord and figure out what can we do to revoice these 3 notes, because this is what creates the tension. So when you kind of take the ear away from that, it helps resolve that chord and sound less cheesy. That was really advanced. I'm not really, giving you guys the greatest context because it would take too much time to explain secondary dominant chords and all that. But I have courses for that. Just go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. You guys can learn more about music theory essentials, music theory magic, and melody mastery. It goes over all those concepts that are more advanced. Okay, but there's one last thing to make your chords more interesting. Let's use this minor chord. And there's options here. So there's different ways to spice up a chord. Here's the normal minor chord, but let's take the 5th, which is 7 notes away from the tonic. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That gives you what's called the perfect 5th. It's always 7 notes away from the root note, or 5 notes down from the root note, but it's 7 notes up from the root note. Okay, what we're going to do is take this perfect 5th, duplicate it, and then pull this up 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What this is called is a minor add 9 chord. This is great for melody stuff like on guitar, West Coast beats. The 9th, which is this note, acts as a very melodic note. So it's a great way to add spice to your minor chord without going off the deep end. And we don't need to play the 7th. We usually omit the 7th because if you have the 3rd, it's kind of identified as the 7th. Vice versa, if I want to clear up some space down here, I can move the 3rd and then play the 7th, and that will still tell the listener this is a minor chord. So you don't need your 3rd all the time. And what is the 3rd to the 7th? 7 notes away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's for a different lesson though. I don't have time to go over everything about everything right now. Okay, but that's the magic number. Okay, it's 7. But there's another another note that we can add to the minor chord. So let's say you don't want to play the 3rd, like a simple D minor 9th chord like this. What we can do is add the suspended 2nd. Technically, we're adding what's called the 9th, and we're pulling it down an octave. Okay, so now that you know where the 9th comes from, which is a 5th of a 5th, we can pull this down an octave and play it down here. Some people combine it with the 3rd here, but it creates a lot of tension between those notes. So again, we're omitting the 3rd Here's what the chord looks like. We're omitting the third, playing the seventh, and then we're going to pull down the ninth. This is just a different way to play it. So the more clustered your chords, the more R&B type of sound you guys are going to get. So let's say you want to spice up a major chord. Let's do C major, C, E, G. What we could do is expand this to a seventh chord. And the chord code for a major chord is 047. That's the difference. Minor chord is 037. Major chord is 047. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the major seventh chord code is 04711. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wait, so I counted too fast. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, which is B. So the question is, how do we spice up this major chord? For the major chord, we have two areas we can spice it up, is adding the perfect fourth, which is 5 semitones up from the root note. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could add the note F. And another note we could add is the major sixth, which is 9 semitones up from the root note. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The way we have to voice the chord, though, we have to look at it as if we potentially need to sacrifice a note in the chord. So instead of playing all the notes like this, which would sound chaotic, it just sounds insane. What we'll do is, instead of playing the third, we'll play the perfect fourth. Okay, and then we'll omit the in this case, let's omit the seventh. See how we had to sacrifice a note to make that sound more cohesive. And what do we get rid of? The seventh. So now let's bring the seventh back in. Let's play the third. And now we have to decide, okay, so here's the major sixth. Do we get rid of the fifth or do we get rid of the seventh? So let's hear what the ear hears. Now again, I would not play these back to back to back. I'm just using this as an example. So now I'm just sacrificing one of the two. Here we're getting rid of the fifth, which is common in jazz music to get rid of the fifth when you have chord extensions. Or we can get rid of the seventh, which is completely changing the chord type over to a major sixth chord. So let me show you guys how I would do this in context, and then we'll wrap this video. Okay, so I went over a lot of concepts, but in a short amount of time. You can have full courses that break this down step by step for beginners. Just go to busyworksbeats.com/premium, look for the music theory essentials, and then look for music theory magic. That will go over a lot of the concepts here. Okay, so I will move really fast here because it requires a lot of explanation. Okay, now we're going to do what's called a dominant ninth, and we're going to revoice it. So you guys who watch me know what I'm about to do. Sharp 5, sharp 9. And then we're going to move into the major ninth. Let's do major, where we at? Major ninth. So we're doing what's called a 2-5-1 chord progression here for the gospel and R&B folks. But instead of just doing the simple, voicing, we could change that up. But before we start getting into the weeds, let's just start. And now I want to resolve on a minor ninth chord starting at A. Okay, and then we want to use B. Now this chord is going to be diminished at the root, so it's B, D, F, which is a diminished chord, which is 036 is the chord code. Okay, and then we are going to basically, okay, where's our scale? Let's do major, because technically we're in the relative minor of the C major scale. Try not to give you guys too much information to overwhelm you, but here I have to get a little technical. Okay, so what we're doing is, to build this chord, we're skipping every other note in the scale. So here we start at B, we skip C, go to D, skip E, go to F, skip G, go to A, skip B, go to C, This is not a typical chord because this is what's called a diminished chord, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 3, 6. This is what creates tension in the C major scale and the A natural minor scale. And what I like to do to kind of resolve that tension is to move the middle note of the diminished chord up an octave. So this is called revoicing the chord. And then here we're going to go to what's called the secondary dominant so that we can resolve in the relative minor scale. Once you learn these terms, you'll realize it's not as complicated as most people make it. It's just taught very complicated. Let's raise the fifth. Let's get this timing right here. Now, some people omit the ninth. We don't technically need the ninth, but this is a nice melodic tone. Okay, so again, some options that we can do as far as chord voicing. We could, for the major chord, we could add that perfect fourth. Okay, we could add, so there's 5 notes up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we could even revoice this. That's a little too low. Normally I wouldn't add this because we already have a lot of notes. Here I'm going to sacrifice the third for the fourth. And what is the fourth? If you go up, it's technically the 11th if you were to continue these chord extensions. Okay, so everything's separated by 7 scale degrees is the secret there. Now again, it just sounds, I'm so used to the sound I wouldn't mess with this. Let's omit things like the fifth. And then omit the third. Very common to do. And maybe for a melodic tone, we'll add the ninth, excuse me, the major 6, which is 9 semitones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And here on the minor chord, let's add that second. Okay, now we can add, the vibe to it. Let's humanize this. I didn't expect this video to go this long, so I need you guys to smash that like button. Now, normally, again, would not play super strummed like this, but let's just swap out the sound. Just so you guys can understand, this works on a lot of sounds. Let's even change the key. One thing I love to do is changing the key to a key I don't usually play. Let's hit shift down. So there's a ton of sounds in here. We have over 100 sounds in the new plugin called Hypnos at busyworksbeats.com/hypnos. A lot of keys. You guys asked for keys and strings, so I made sure to add a ton of keys and strings. It's a ton of bass sounds that I love too, but keys and strings is what you guys asked for. Alright, so a ton of sounds. I can go through all those sounds. But just wanted to show you guys, that's how you make your chords more unique. There's a lot more to chords. Chords are really the foundation for melody. So if you're trying to make better melodies, you probably need to study more on chords. Go to busyworksbeats.com/premium, and I'll show you guys in the Music Theory Essentials, the Music Theory Magic, and in Melody Mastery. Alright guys, subscribe if you're new. Peace.